you start getting a feel for how you like yours set up. And I mean, I play with a controller. I find it makes it a lot easier if you just go with the cross hotbar and not have to deal with like 1,000 skills in front of you. Like, I don't know. I'm not really an MMO guy though, but I can wrap my head around the controller controls in this game. I'm interested to see what the controller controls are like in Baldur's Gate 3 next week too. And yeah, next week, baby. We're adding another RPG to the pile. And then we got Sea of Stars on the 26th. Like, oh boy. Yeah, it's this coming Thursday. How about that? I guess we know what we're streaming on Thursday, everybody. Bear sex game. We will not be having sex with any bears, though. I'm telling you, I'll get through the whole... I'll do the whole game on stream here if you want, and I'll show you that no non-consensual bear sex scenes need to be viewed. And I'm not talking about them coming up and you can skip them. Like, I'm talking... You don't ever have to encounter it. You just have to not flirt with the druid, man. And I mean, hey, if you're playing a female character, if you're a woman playing a female character and you like the druid... I don't know that he's just gay. I don't know the character yet. He might still be into you. And hey, what if your character is also a druid and you can turn into a bear? That's where it really becomes complicated, I find. Because yeah, human having sex with a bear, obviously it's gross. Like in human form, having sex with a person in bear form, not really cool. Like definitely on the weird side. But if two werewolves have sex in wolf form, I don't know. I was like, okay, like, what, isn't that kind of neutral? Like, it's not. Especially if they lose something of themselves in wolf form. So it's like, well, it's not like they're viewing it as like, yeah, finally I get to live out my bestiality desires. They're probably thinking like a wolf while they're in that form. So it's just like, hey, sexy wolf lady. Like, you know, kind of like Rocky does. Hey, Rocky. There's no way I'm going to make him howl right now, though. He's way too tired. I'm going to play with a full party. It's going to be interesting what people play now that the classes is all going to be all available. Yeah, I think I played as a rogue in the early access, but I think I'm going to try a ranger because I do kind of want to play the, you know, decent with a bow, decent with blades up close kind of character, but I don't know if I want to do a rogue again, because I already did play a rogue for like 30 hours and did all of Act 1, so I don't know. I'll figure it out though, but I'm leaning towards either human or half-elf rogue. Bear was everywhere on the... Like, I mean, that's the thing, it was just a meme. That's what I was trying to tell everybody. I was like, guys, like, that's not really what the game is. It's just like, hey, here's the... we threw this in to make a couple furries on the internet happy romance option that you have in this giant RPG with almost limitless different ways to go through the game depending on the different paths you take, the types of characters you build. Like when you break it down that mathematically, it is actually infinite. Even Act 1 as it is now, it's kind of infinite because you can still play a whole bunch of different classes and go through it a whole bunch of different ways. So I don't know, man. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a game that's really going to surprise a lot of the people who are hating on it. I guess that's probably the best way to put it. Sorry, that game volume's been a little hot. So you can play Baldur's Gate either solo or co-op. And if you're playing it co-op, it's a very different experience because it's basically multiplayer Dungeons and Dragons, like video game Dungeons and Dragons. And I believe one person can play as the player character, like the created character, or maybe you might even be able to leave them out entirely. But the other characters take up members of the party. So they make the choices for the players in the party, so they might not be making the choices that you would make when you're talking to them, which you would get from the AI, like from the game itself, the written responses to each dialogue choice. So if you're playing with a full party, you really need to be doing a lot of talking, I understand, because you need to make sure that you guys are on the same page and trying to do the same things. Otherwise, you'll start pulling the party in a bunch of different directions and you won't succeed at anything. But essentially, it's you're playing D&D together, and the dungeon master is your DM. But I think only one person can create a character, or I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how it specifically works, but I believe that is how it has been explained to me using Divinity Original Sin 2 as a guideline. Oh God, for all I know, they're gonna pull they're gonna subvert my expectations, and Shadowheart's also gonna be a werebear, and I'm gonna be like, oh my God, they really don't give you a choice. I spent all this time romancing Shadowheart, and turns out she's a bear. No. I really doubt that's going to happen, though. She's not a druid. In-game characters just stay in the camp. Oh, neat. Oh, but the story still unfolds as it would, and they still have their role in it? Okay, that's kind of cool. So you're really just kind of tackling the combat together, less so the story? Does one person make the decisions for the party as far as like story choices go? Oh man, I'm interested to see how that works. I feel like it would be a very different experience though, playing alone. Had friends start one quest when you were starting another. Yeah, so that's kind of what I mean. It's like you all have to kind of have an understanding of what kind of game you're playing in order to have it function properly. Otherwise, it's like, oh, it's just chaos, and you're better off playing alone. I think I'm definitely going to keep one playthrough, like probably one that I stream, just as a solo run. If any, I think role-playing channels really want to have a way to do gaming streams that incorporates tabletop gaming to a degree that we've never really seen before, in that it makes it much more cinematic and well produced. That 175 hours of cinematics thing, it's just reverse shot dialogue for the most part, but the point is, it's not just text that you're reading, it's not just dialogue that you're hearing, it's characters speaking with voice acting and facial animations. And I think they do a similar technology to what was done in Cyberpunk, where it's the audio file maps the lip syncing so that they can have that many voice performances without having to worry about doing ultra expensive like Sony style or like Hideo Kojima style, if you want to say, motion capture, where you're capturing actual faces and, you know, getting like the eye movements and stuff. Like, that's not going to be the level that Baldur's Gate's at, but Baldur's Gate is going to have more possible dialogue than like basically all the Sony games over the last 5 years. That's a different type of game, so like I'm being a bit of a dick, but you know, it's still and I had someone comment on my the Spider-Man video of all things, where I talk about how great the ending of Spider-Man PS4 is. He's like, yeah, you have the worst possible takes on PlayStation. I was like, really? I was like, this video is pretty complimentary of PlayStation. I mean, I do say that I wish they would just keep designing games that can run at 30 FPS on PS4, because then those games would run at 60 FPS on PS5. And that was really my only logic. I was just like, hey, it seems like God of War Ragnarok looked pretty damn good, man. I'd be okay with games just looking like God of War Ragnarok if they need to look really good, because all games don't need to look that good. And I don't know, this arms race of like, well, see those blades of grass 300 meters in the distance? They're actually moving procedurally with the coded wind that we. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, looks nice. Like, it's not bad. I appreciate the artistry of it. It took a lot of effort. But it's like, well, what's important when it comes to game design? And I don't know. I think for me, it's mostly the game part.